More music at kingdomboys.
I struck out fast as I could, knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good, I would. Knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, now you called, I'd be good, I would. I heard you call me up. All the Pharisee laws that I break, you call me anyway. All the Pharisee laws, so how could I go? You call me anyway. So how could I go this far without you? I struck out. How could I go fast as I could? This far, knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good, I would. This far, now you called. I heard you call me up. It was a dream. All the Pharisee laws that I break, you call me anyway. So how could I go this far without you? How could I go on this far without my love? How could I go this far without you? Letting it go like it was a dream. Bye-bye. Stay with me. Bye-bye. My Jackie Rory. Don't let the lies of this world take me down. I struck out fast as I could. Knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good, I would. And I know you see me, yeah, like a child wandering from a distance. You call out to me. Jackie Rory. Don't let the lies of this world take you down. Duro to me, stay with me, child. Don't let the lies of this world take you down. My baby alone.
The AXA purpose is the generally acceptable way that will continue to have indelible impact on human progress by protecting what matters, with innovation being our main driver.
This is the kick-off of the what we have tagged the AXA Roots movement, and we are so delighted to be kicking off this ceremony with in conjunction with LASPAC. The tree planting exercise is going to commence shortly, and we have the LASPAC team here with us to put us through. Pretty much they have put put everything in place and done all the work, and we're very happy to partner with them. Impacting our environment is not as audacious as we think. We can plant trees in our homes, in our workplaces, in our schools. We can recycle, we can reuse plastics, we can refuse plastics, and so many other ways. Tree planting still remains the cheapest nature-based solution to mitigate the effects of global warming, and it's one of the easiest things.
I will just be leaving it from here now, just walking down to where we're going to be doing the ceremonial planting.
We have a very, very long row of trees, palms, beautiful palm trees, all the way down, which we expect that in a couple of years will have grown way taller than this, and they will be impacting our environment very, very positively. Apart from the beautification, of course, the impact it has on offsetting CO2 emissions.
All of us at AXA Mansard, we would like to say a very thank you to the last park team led by Mrs. Popola. Thank you so much for taking out of your time to support this very important initiative. I'd like to thank everyone from AXA Mansard as well for participating. I want to specially thank the organizers, Jumoke and the team. Can we just give them a round of applause? This has been a fantastic exercise. Let me use the opportunity to charge all of us. I know we don't do this so often. Someone said before that many have gardens, but they don't actually do anything in those gardens. I want us to use this as a charge to take the issue, the topic of sustainability very seriously. Our environment depends on it. Our nation depends on it. Our world depends on it. Our lives depend on it. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant
Mimi, where's your mommy?
I struck out.
A major part of being a parent is being present.
Where's your mommy?
For the little moments that make all the difference.
Where's her mommy?
To the biggest achievements that shape their future.
And the winner is Mimi Idris.
This is why the AXA Life Insurance Plan is designed to take care of you, so you are there for the moments that matter. Stay in the picture and be the parent you want to be. Call 0700 AXA Mansard today to speak to an AXA financial advisor.
Now that you have additional funds for the expansion of your business, is it protected?
So, your business is thriving, but is it protected?
I know you've got the best hands running your business, but are they protected? Think about it. I know you've got the best hands running your business, but are they protected? Think about it.
Now that you have additional funds for the expansion of your business, is it protected? Think about it.
So, your business is thriving, but is it protected? Think about it.
Running a program right now. How's the program been so far?
Well, it's been an eye-opener in terms of what perceptions we have and assumptions we have in the company. We're running the culture clinics now, and just to reaffirm the culture of the organization, let people know what we stand for, what we believe in, what are our values. It's something that I believe that when we finish, it's just a step in the right direction.
Right.
And when we finish, we'll nominate culture champions across each cadre to ensure that the values are better entrenched within our staff and within the employees and that. And it's done company-wide. It's not just for full staff, it's for everyone.
Really, very amazing stuff. So, since we're talking about culture, I think most employees that I come in contact with say that's one of the things that have attracted them to AXA Mansard. As a matter of fact, I know that we have won Great Place to Work award a number of times, and culture is so important. So what would you say is really the culture? Can you break it down for us, what this culture at AXA Mansard is?
Culture at AXA Mansard was entrenched in the values that we set up as a company. And the values today are the customer first, integrity, courage, and one AXA. However, the real culture, the real drivers of that culture are the norms that we have. One of our biggest norms, which is actually the bedrock of our foundation, is mutual respect for one another.
Right.
We're able to trust one another. We're able to have free and open communication. When we give feedback to one another, it will be taken, appreciated, and not seen that there's a malicious intent. One other thing that we stand for is empowerment. At AXA Mansard, we can empower you to do everything.
I can testify to that one.
At AXA Mansard, you can come in with a law degree and end up as a CFO.
Right.
It is only done at AXA. Why? Because we believe that everybody has a potential. Everybody has something to give. We're not so fixated on your qualification that you have brought in, but more, what do you have to do? What is your appetite?
Right.
What do you want to take on? What do you want to give? So when we get that into the door, we then begin to harness your best opportunities. When we look at our people today, we have people taking leadership roles that have 4 years experience, 5 years experience. It's amazing. They have what it takes. Some of them are performing roles and things that are mind-blowing. So for me, one of our biggest fundamental ways is when we empower people, we get the best of them.
Right.
We win the trust of our people. We get mutual respect for people. Leverage on open communication. The values that we have put in place will begin to work for us. And you can see the customer satisfaction numbers will begin to rise.
Yes.
Just by treating our employees and ourselves better.
Great. So let's talk a bit more about the open communication that you mentioned. I know that it's something that is very, very personal to me, and I think a lot of people value it. But is that what is still in place? Do people have that understanding? How does it work really at AXA Mansard today?
So to be honest with you, I realized from the sessions that I've had so far that some people don't know that they can walk up to anyone in the company to share an idea, share an innovation, talk, or even ask any question. People think you have to go through the channel of go through your line manager to get to HR. My door is open. Rashida's door is open. Kule's door is open. Deji's door is open. You can walk into Jumoke's office and ask a question. You can walk in, share that feedback. But they're afraid to knock on the door. They're afraid to ask that question. maybe because where they are coming from, they don't know that they're allowed to. At one of the sessions yesterday, someone said to me that they still struggle with the first name calling that we have. And I said to the person that it's not by putting the Mr. or the Mrs. or the uncle, boss or auntie that you can get the job done.
Sure.
You can call a mommy. I remember someone we employed found it difficult to call my name and would always come to my office and just say, I have something to sign. And I'll say, what's my name? I have something to sign. I had to force the person to say, what is my name? Until the person got comfortable.
Yes.
So we need to make people around us feel comfortable to approach us.
Yes.
That is when open communication can work.
Yes.
We need to bring down the barriers. We need to see ourselves as approachable people and not, constantly, be adverse to feedback.
Yes. It's interesting, the feedback you are giving about some people not knowing that, because I know that it's something that is encouraged at meetings. For instance, we're constantly asking people to speak up. It's the people that speak up that are even rewarded and noticed, and it's something that is very, very core to who we are as AXA Mansard. So it's actually interesting that when we say that some people don't know that, and I think that perhaps this the COVID era has impacted on it. What do you think? The fact that you were working remotely largely for the last 2 years.
Well, the truth is, COVID had its pros and cons. The biggest pro for everybody was remote working, so it worked well. However, the biggest con for me was the fact that we lost connectivity as a family, as a people. AXA Mansard is known for camaraderie. We love ourselves.
Absolutely.
We love being together. If you say you are getting married at AXA Mansard, you have to make sure the invite is not sent by HR, because everybody believes that it is our person that is getting married.
Right.
If you have a child at AXA Mansard, everybody believes it is our child.
Yeah.
So one of the things that happened was that when COVID happened, we didn't have that constant connectivity anymore. And we started doing the whole virtual meeting, and we lost it. We're trying to bring back a bit of physical meetings now. And the first sessions I'm having with the culture clinic, it's been amazing. We had people talk about their one fun fact about them. And it was amazing. We have chefs in the company. I would never have imagined. We have people that can play different musical instruments, and we have people that they play football in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a testament when we had the Apple bonding. I didn't want to go home. I had so much fun. I was really very competitive. I wanted to win. Yes, I wanted to win.
I know.
But the fact that we were all together, we played together, we had fun games, and the only reason why we had to go home that day was because we were afraid that we're going to take over the jungle from the monkeys. We had to leave. But that is what we need to bring back. And I believe that if we start seeing ourselves a bit more physically, start having more interactions, believe me, I believe that all of that barrier that people believe that is there will be broken.
Yeah, actually, I think for me, I had taken a lot of these things for granted, maybe because I've been here at AXA for so long, and where I worked prior to AXA, it was pretty much the same. But I remember that I was talking to a friend recently, and she was saying her colleague was having a birthday. So I said, "What are you getting your colleague for the birthday?" And she was like, "How?" I'm like, "Birthday gift, They don't do that here. Nobody gives anybody any gift." I was in shock. Like, really? Like, it's the birthday, you celebrate the person, you do stuff like that. So it's actually quite interesting, the way you mentioned that sometimes it's also biases from where people are coming from, and the remote nature of things has not allowed people to see the full extent of the culture that is in place, because I see that from a lot of new entrants. But it's really amazing, and it's great that you've been having this session. And speaking about that, I know that we have this smart working policy at AXA, which is really
let me allow you to comment about it. Tell us about this smart working policy that is in place. How exactly does it work?
Okay, so the AXA smart working strategy is a blend of a 3-day in the office this week and a 2-day remote. The following week, you have a 2-day in the office and then a 3-day remote, so that in the space of 10 days, you get to do 5 days in the office,
Right.
5 days at home. So
Right.
that's actually the strategy.
Excellent. And what do you hope to achieve with that?
So with that, we believe that it can give you the best of both worlds. You get to have a great work-life balance for people that have family, that have children, that have spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends. We don't forget them. Yes, that are single, and encourage them to also have time for themselves, enjoy, go to the movies,
Right.
close early from work, and just spend time to hang out with other people.
Great. Mental health is very topical at the moment. And
Yes.
we as AXA, we are leaders in that space. It's something that we are promoting a lot, awareness about it. So what are we doing for specifically in that area for our employees?
Mental health is something that, yes, is topical, but it was something that we started as far back as 2018.
Right.
Because we had 1 or 2 episodes within the company where we were exposed to it and we sort of understood it, and we decided to then launch a program around it. So we had the first mental health awareness, to create awareness about it in the company in 2018.
Right.
We had sessions for everyone in the company. Then we launched an employee assistance program then. Now, we didn't really see anybody take it up. People really didn't believe in it because then it was a big taboo. So even when we launched it, we were not sure how it would be perceived. Surprisingly, during COVID, it became a big issue because people were locked up at home. People didn't have anyone to communicate with. People felt lonely, people were single, and then people had issues with spouses, even with the work. So we relaunched it again, reminded everybody about it, and then we then provided the numbers of our employee assistance guys that we had. Then we had just 3 in the company that we're using. We had Grey Insights, we had there were 2 personal doctors that we're using. One was a professional coach, one was a doctor, and
Good morning, everyone, and I thank you for coming. I welcome our distinguished shareholders, proxies, observers, officials of the regulatory authorities, that is the National Insurance Commission, NICOM. Thank you for coming. The Securities and Exchange Commission, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX Group, Corporate Affairs Commission, our esteemed members of the press, and others attending this meeting. I would like to draw attention to the register of shareholders, which is available for inspection. I will also like to draw attention to the register of directors shareholding, which is available for inspection during the meeting in compliance with section 301 sub 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. I also draw attention of members to the register of directors attendance at meetings, which is also available for inspection pursuant to Section 2842 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. I now introduce our directors and officers. I start with myself, if you don't mind. My name is Shola Adeeyo, and with your grace, I'm chairman of your meeting again today. Thank you. To my right is Mr. Kunle Ahmed, the CEO, and to my left is the company secretary, Mrs. Omomi Adeusi. In line with the approval received from Corporate Affairs Commission for the attendance of this meeting by proxy, we have the mandate of the following directors to represent them at the meeting. Mrs. Rashidat Adebisi, Executive Director. Mr. Hassan L. Shabrawabi, Non-Executive Director. Mr. Tokpe Adeni, Non-Executive Director. Mr. John Dixon, Non-Executive Director. Mr. Kuldeep Kaushik, Non-Executive Director. Mr. Thomas Hood, Non-Executive Director. And Ms. Latifa Said, Non-Executive Director. And I introduce officers and advisors of the company who are to stand, please, as they are introduced. I would like to introduce our auditors, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, represented by Mr. Femi Awotoye. Thank you for coming. Next is Mr. Akingbola Akinola, SAN, and Mrs. Ayodeji Oloye, shareholders, representative, and members of the audit committee. Next is, I see Mrs. Bakari there, right? Yeah, thank you. Next is Mr. Ibrahim Alagbe, representing DCSL Corporate Services Limited. And audit committee members, next to the audit committee members is Mr. Kamal Okwala, representing Datamarks registrars. On my left is Mr. Ibrahim Abu from Securities and Exchange Commission. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Adetola Olusegun from Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm sorry, from NICOM. My apologies. Yeah. Mr. Abu Ibrahim from Security and Exchange Commission. Thank you. And Mrs. Miriam Mohammed from Corporate Affairs Commission. Thank you all for coming. I would like to introduce the following proxies present at this meeting. I haven't seen Mr. Sonny Nwosu. I hope he's fine. And I haven't seen Mr. Timothy Adesina. Okay. Very high-powered representative. Thank you. Mrs. Ganiat Adetitu Shinobola. Okay. Mr. Olufemi Abolude, shareholder. Mrs. Bisi Bakari, of course. Okay. Mr. Gbola Akinola, shareholder. Mr. Oladimeji Adeleke. Thank you. Mr. Efe Denido. Thank you. Mr. Norman Awo. Thank you. And Mr. Godwin Ede. Thank you. So, notice of the meeting. I call on our secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Good morning. Notice is hereby given that the 30th Annual General Meeting of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC will hold at the Oriental Hotel, number 3, Lekki Road, Victoria Line, Lagos, on Thursday, 14 July 2022 at 10 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business. To receive the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and statutory audit committee thereon. 2, to elect directors. 3, to declare a dividend. 4, to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 5, to disclose the remuneration of the managers. And 6, to elect the members, shareholder representative of the statutory audit committee. Special business. To consider and if thought fit, pass the following as an ordinary resolution: that the director's remuneration for the financial year ended December 31, 2022, and for succeeding years until reviewed by the company at its annual general meeting, be and is hereby fixed at 750,000 naira only for the chairman and 500,000 naira only for the non-executive directors for each financial year. Proxy. A member entitled to attend and vote at the annual general meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy from the proxies stated in the notice and to attend and vote in his or her stead in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission's guidelines on holding general meetings using proxies. For the appointment to be valid, a completed and duly stamped proxy form must be deposited at the office of the registrars, Datamax Registrar Limited, number 2C, Bagada Phase 1, Lagos State, not less than 48 hours before the time fixed for the meeting. A blank proxy form is attached to this annual report by order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The quorum. The company's articles of association fix quorum for general meetings at 5 or more shareholders or proxies holding not less than 50% of the issued capital of the company. For the purposes of determining the quorum, all proxies shall be counted. I now call on the company secretary again to confirm the quorum.
Good morning and welcome to the AGM again. From the information provided by the registrar, I hereby confirm that we have a quorum for this meeting. Proxies, we have a total of 94 shareholders holding 80.33%, and then self, we have 11 shareholders holding 0.55%, which is a total of 80.88% shareholding of the company. Thank you.
Following confirmation from the company secretary that the proper quorum has been formed for this meeting and duly convened and properly constituted, I hereby declare the meeting open and welcome you once again to the 30th Annual General Meeting of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC. In view of the current global pandemic and in accordance with the new Corporate Affairs Commission's guidelines on holding of annual general meetings of public companies, the attendance for this meeting is by proxy only, and the necessary approval was duly obtained from the Commission. We wish to notify you that the meeting is being streamlined live for all our shareholders, regulators, and observers who are not physically present here for this meeting. We also wish to assure everybody that we will observe all the social distancing limitations on gatherings, requirements, and proceedings for this meeting will be conducted in a timely manner. For those attending the meeting online, all microphones will be permanently muted unless you have been given the permission to speak. You can ask questions during the Q&A sessions by clicking on the raise hand icon on the streamlining platform. You can also type your questions via question icon, and same will be addressed and responded to. For those present in the room, please raise your hand if you have any questions. The director's report and financial statements. I have the pleasure of presenting the director's report and audited financial statements of the company as well as Chairman's statement for the year ended December 31, 2021, copies of which had been previously circulated to shareholders, and suggests that it be taken as read. Thank you. I now lay before you Director's report and audited financial statement. I now lay before you the Director's report and audited accounts of the company for the year ended 31st, 2021, in accordance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act and the Company's Articles of Association. The auditor's report. I invite Mr. Femi Awotoye, a representative of the auditor, KPMG Professional Services, to read the report of the auditor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, directors, and distinguished shareholders. The auditor's report is on pages 53 to 56 of the annual report. With the permissions of shareholders, I would like to ask to read an abridged version of the report, if shareholders are happy. Thank you so much. The independent auditor's report to the shareholders of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements and the opinion. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, thereafter called the company, and its subsidiaries, which are together called the group, which comprise the consolidated and separate statements of financial position as at the 31st of December 2021, the consolidated and separate statements of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, the consolidated and separate statements of changes in equity, the consolidated and separate statements of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of the company and its subsidiaries as at the 31st of December 2021, and its consolidated and separate financial performance and its consolidated and separate cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and in a manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011, the Insurance Act 2003, and relevant National Insurance Commission of Nigeria circulars. On page 56 is the report on other legal and regulatory requirements. First, compliance with the requirements of Schedule 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. 1. We have obtained all the information and explanations to which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. 2. In our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company, so far as appears from our examination of those books, and proper returns adequate for the purposes of our audit have been received from branches not visited by us. And 3. The company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account and returns. And lastly, in terms of contraventions and penalties, the company incurred a fine in respect of late submission of minimum rate report during the year. This has been disclosed in Note 47 to the financial statements. The audit report was signed by me, Oluwafemi Awotoye, for KPMG Professional Services, dated the 29th of March, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awutoyin. The Audit Committee report. I invite Mr. Bola Akinola, SAN, a shareholder representative and member of the Audit Committee, Statutory Audit Committee, I might say, to read the Statutory Audit Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and distinguished shareholders of the company. The report of the Statutory Audit Committee is on page 50, and I'm having to do this by virtue of the fact that the substantive chairman, Mr. Ohis Oyiwere, resigned from the board effective from April 19, 2021, hence might be made the acting chairman. To the members of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, in compliance with the provisions of Section 404, Sub 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of Nigeria, 2020, the members of the Audit Committee of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC hereby report as follows. We have exercised our statutory functions under Section 404, Sub 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of Nigeria, 2020, and acknowledge the cooperation of management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We are of the opinion that the accounting and reporting policies of the group are in compliance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices, and that the scope and planning of both the external and internal audits for the year ended 31st December 2021 were satisfactory and reinforce the group's internal control systems. We have deliberated with the external auditors who have confirmed that necessary cooperation was received from management in the course of their statutory audit and were satisfied with management's responses to the recommendations for improvement and with the effectiveness of the group system of accounting and internal control. Signed by me, Akingbola Akinola, 17th February 2022, and other members of the audit committee, the statutory audit committee, are Mr. Ohis Ohiwere, even though he resigned April 18, 2021, Mrs. Ayodeji Oloye, member, Mrs. Adebisi Bakari, and in attendance for our meeting was always Mrs. Tululope, okay, secretary. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinola. And we note the very diligent and excellent job being done by our statutory audit committee. I invite the external consultants report. I invite a representative of external consultant, DCSL Corporate Services Limited, Mr. Ibrahim Alagbe, to read the report of the external consultants on the board appraisal in line with Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, the NICOM Code of Corporate Governance for Insurance Companies 2021, and the Securities and Exchange Commission Corporate Governance Guidelines for Public Companies in Nigeria issued in 2020.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman, Board of Directors, and distinguished shareholders. I'll be reading our report on page 52 of the annual report. In line with the provision of Principle 14.1 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance and Section 4.01 of the National Insurance Commission Corporate Governance Guidelines and Calendar 9 of the Securities and Exchange Commission Corporate Governance Guidelines for Public Companies in Nigeria, issued in 2020, DCSL Corporate Services Limited was appointed to undertake an appraisal of the Board of Directors of AXA Mansard Insurance PLC for the year ended 31st December 2021. The appraisal involved the benchmarking of the performance of the board against the provisions of the NICOM guidelines, SCGG, and the NCCG, and entailed a review of the company's corporate and statutory documents, minutes of board and board committee meetings, policies, and other auxiliary documents made available to us. The administration of questionnaires as well as interviews with the directors and select members of the executive management team. To ascertain the extent of compliance with relevant corporate governance principles and the performance of the board in general, we benchmarked the company's corporate governance structures, policies, and processes against the provisions of the NICOM guidelines, SCGG, and NCCG, as well as global best practices using the following 7 key corporate governance themes. 1, board structure and composition. 2, strategy and planning. 3, board operations and effectiveness. 4, measuring and monitoring of performance. 5, risk management and compliance. 6, corporate citizenship. 7, transparency and disclosure. Following the review of the policies and processes operating in the company, we confirm that the board of directors is committed to enrolling the highest standards of corporate governance practices and ensuring adherence to the principles enshrined in the NICOM guidelines, SCGG, and the NCCG, as well as globally accepted corporate governance practices. Furthermore, we confirm that the board is committed to setting the pace for the observance of highest ethical standards and transparency in the conduct of the company's business. We have recommended that the chairman should supervise the appraisal of the managing director by the board governance, remuneration, establishment, and general purpose committee in line with principle 11.2.5.8 of the NCCG and guideline of the SCGG. Other recommendations to address the areas that require improvement are detailed in the full report, and we're satisfied that the board will take appropriate steps to implement this. Please accept the assurances of our highest regards and esteem yours faithfully. Signed for DCL Corporate Services Limited, BCRDMA Managing Director. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We now move on to questions and answers session. Standing microphones have been provided for speakers on the floor, and I hereby request that if questions are being asked on the annual report and accounts, speakers should state their names and make appropriate references to the relevant pages to ensure that right answers are given. In addition, please, no. I'm just saying, calm down. Yeah. In addition, it will be helpful if members are brief and restrict their questions or comments to 1 or 2 at a time to afford others the opportunity to speak. We will take note of all questions and respond at the end in order to save time. Beside you, please.
The chairman of AXA Mansard PLC, directors here present, regulatory authorities here present, and my fellow distinguished, shareholders. My name is Ichie.
Please avoid wrapping the microphone. No, just
my name is Ichie.
Otherwise, we'll have to keep cleaning it.
Okay.
Compliant.
My name is Ichie.
Please hang the microphone back and just avoid touching it. Yeah.
My name is Ichie Godwin Emeka Ide. I will start my address from page 8. If you look at page 8, page 8 is about notice of annual general meeting, and the ordinary business. The second item said, the third item said to declare a dividend. Well, you are declaring a 25 kobo dividend in the year under review. I think you've done well in that area, because most insurance companies that I know, that I have attended, the dividend they declared is far, far less, declaring 2 kobo, 1.5 kobo. So to me, as a stakeholder in AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, I think you've done very well in paying 25 kobo as dividend. So what I will advise is that we have only 4 insurance companies in Nigeria. The others should match. Let us forget this ego problem. The other insurance companies should match, because any company that cannot pay 10 kobo is not what is result. So I must commend you for paying out 25 kobo dividend. Then on page 58, let's look at page 58. Page 58, claims expenses gross 28 billion. 28, so let's just approximate 29 billion. The hallmark of any insurance company is the ability to pay the claims. If an insurance company cannot pay, claims, then that insurance company should wind up. There are many companies in Nigeria today, insurance companies in Nigeria. I'm not going to mention names. They have folded up because they can't pay, claims. So for Mansard Insurance, you have tried, in the area of, payment of claims, to your stakeholders. Kudos to you for in that direction. Then another thing, as a stakeholder, when I pick up annual report and accounts, what I really look out for is the underwriting profit. If you look at this page 58 very well, you see that in the year under review, the total underwriting profit for AXA Mansard for the group 9.2 billion. In the year under review is 9.2 billion. In the year 2020, it was 7.4 billion. There was an increase in that area. So you've done very well in that area. But I'm really concerned about the total investment income. In the year under review, our total investment income, dipped. It was from 7 billion to 6.2 billion. I want the managing director to give me a precise reason why the investment income dipped in the year under review. Then on page 36, the donation for the year, if you look at that page 36, the donation for the year is a far cry. In the year under review, we donated just 3.8 million. 3.8 million. And in the year under 2020, it was 26 million. And I think that you should do more than that. You should at least, donate to old people's home, partially School of the Blind. And I want, our CSR, I want it, shown in the annual report and account, going forward. And also, I want, the activities of the annual general meeting, captured in the annual report and accounts. On a final note, I want to give others, the opportunity to speak. I, as a stakeholder, actually, I invested in this partnership between AXA Mansard and MTN. This, partnership in the area of life policies, I really, invested in it, but NICOM, discontinued it. So I want a situation where, it will be reinvigorated. Let NICOM allow insurance companies to partner with service providers so that, I don't need to come to, AXA Mansard, office to do any transaction. I can easily do it with my handset. So thank you for the opportunity given me.
Thank you very much. Representative of NICOM is here, and I'm sure they've noted your very relevant comment. Thank you.
Good morning, all. All protocols duly observed. My name is Adeleke Oladimeji. The result we are considering today is a very excellent one, and I want to commend the company to keep it up. Because if you look at this account critically, and we are combining page 57, 58, and analyzing it to page 186, 87, 88, and 89, looking at the 5 years financial summary from where we are coming from and where we are today, it shows that we have an excellent board that knows what they are doing, and they are up to the task, and they are serious in business. They are very, very proactive and aggressive in business. So let's keep it up. If you look at page 50 very well, The chairman of our audit committee is in acting capacity. I want to ask why. And looking at page 50 also very well, our accounts, the law says the director should be two representatives on the audit committee board, and we should have three shareholders. In this annual report, we have only one director, and that director too have resigned in April. And we just have three the committee. And which makes Mrs. Bakari join us last year, May, during the meeting, during our last AGM, and making him to join us. The next meeting after the audit committee, after the AGM, supposed to be an inaugural meeting in which they will choose, re-elect another chairman of the audit committee. And it is a lost fight. We have taken it up with the Financial Reporting Council that the chairman of audit committee should be a shareholder representative. And it is not necessary that the chairman of audit committee should be a chartered accountant. It is and I think the FIRC have accepted for us like that. So the person that read the account that is also in acting capacity should be able to sign this account, have the capacity to sign this account, being a SAM. So it's not for a must that the chairman of audit committee should be a chartered accountant. So please look into it. We don't want to see acting capacity again. And going forward, the chairman of audit committee of our company should be a shareholder in which the shareholder can hold responsible if anything happens to this account. Also, the breakdown, I believe, page 158 and page 159 of these accounts. The page 158 and 159 of this account, the marketing and admin expenses of 913 million. We should have a breakdown of the admin expenses. It's so important. Not that we just mobile up everything and say our marketing admin expenses 198 million. The amounts that contribute to that amount, we should have break it down for us. How much spent on diesel, how much spent on security, how much spent on. We should have the breakdown. Also, page 159, we have other expenses of 186 million. I think we should also explain it further of what constitutes these other expenses. Also, this is an advice on advert and marketing. Those days, a lot of organizations spends a lot of money on TV, newspaper, advertisements. But nowadays, social media is a very good platform in which organizations advertise their products now. So, our company, I want to advise us to look for a way in which we can gather make our social media page so attractive, in which a lot of people we have a lot of followers, and due to this, a lot of people will be able to subscribe to our page and view most of the things that we put there. Also, the directors profile in this account, it is only new directors that are seeking re-election and new directors coming on board that we have their profile here. There are some people that bought AXA Mansard last year or this year. So it is all directors' profile that should be stated on the account. Also, I realize two organizations owns over 80% of our company shares. Are we looking at the listing in the nearest future? Shareholders fund goes down in these accounts. I want to know why. And also, page 162, I want to commend the company for creating jobs. under the air review, we employed over 70 graduates that should be roaming about on the streets. We want to commend you for that. As at this time, a lot of organizations, they are downsizing, but we seek them it fit to employ. Also, our unclaimed dividend is something that is also worrisome. Why is worrisome is AXA Mansard have just about 5,600 shareholders, and we have about 3,000 unclaimed dividend, which constitutes to about over 62 to 63%. So, which means the registrars have a lot of work to do. There are some corporate organizations in this annual report that are still existing till today, and they have unclaimed dividend. I think it will be very, very good enough for our registrars if they can write them and send a letter to them and let them know that they have an outstanding money that they have not yet to claim. And also, there are some names there. I think with the NIN that the government have just introduced now, the registrars can still look for people that have unclaimed dividend. There are some people here that are also shareholders of some companies that we are working with, and they have unclaimed dividend in those companies, also in the AXA Mansard. So the registrars, I want them to still work hard to go for this. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. The name once again is Adeleke Oladimeji.
Thank you, Mr. Awo.
The chairman, other directors, including those of them that are joining us virtually, same for shareholders in that category as well. Chairman, I am going to start my questions from, no, let me put it this way. My presentation is largely going to be inspired by what you have on page 220. And if you look at page 220, your advert there says, help them achieve more. And I'm sure that if we as shareholders help you to achieve more, the chances are high that the water will trickle down the small players like us as against the 84% big boys. But Mr. Chairman, I am also curious, and my curiosity is coming largely from the fact that I am not a lawyer. One of the things that is very prevalent in our system is that item 2 of most companies, that is the dividend paying companies, is usually dividend. But in this case, you basically have dropped dividend payment to item 3, and then you have put directors election as number 2. I just want to understand your mindset at arriving that decision, so that I can also be better educated without necessarily having to be an auxiliary lawyer. But talking seriously to the accounts, I have also been fortunate to, probably I should start by the fact that first I must commend the company. And when I mean commend, I mean commend. I got this account almost a month ago, which also gave me the opportunity to read and reread. And that is again is informing some of the issues that I'll be raising. But that is not to say that you shouldn't send them early next year, so we don't read them and then take you on. If you look at page 14 to 16, two things stand out in all of what is stated in those pages. First is that you talked about globally, there's going to be step down in terms of level of growth. And then the second one that was also implied is the issue of competition. But you have tactically refused to mention how that's going to affect our tomorrow. Yes, 25 kobo on 2 naira per share looks attractive. But the attractiveness for me is your ability to be able to pay more than that and the number also climbing going forward. So that's basically what I'm asking. So I want some explanation because unfortunately, without criticizing the regulators, NICOM is behaving as if it doesn't even understand the business that is governing, with due respect. Because in one breath, you are asking insurance company, go and recapitalize. In another breath, you are issuing license right, left, and center. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Furthermore, you will ask people to submit audited accounts. I don't know how many accountants that NICOM has that he wants to sit on how many companies. If I were in their shoes, I will get an undertaking from their chartered accountants companies, okay, audit firms. Give me an undertaking that if you don't audit this account well, and we get to find out in the course, we will sanction you. That for me would have been a more sensible thing to do. And what do you find? You run down the image of your industry. How many insurance companies have their accounts not approved and by extension being suspended by the Nigerian exchange? It doesn't make sense. So you can't want an industry to grow and you tie stone around the neck and drop it into an ocean. So Nikon needs to go back and do their work. With due respect, if I was to rate them, Nikon is a huge underperformer as far as our economy is concerned. It is not for you to hold parties and hold seminars that makes an industry functional. It's the amount of inputs that you put that makes it functional. If they don't have a change of hearts, you're also going to find out, even the new company that they have brought in, before long, they will also be out of here. But let's leave NICOM, since they've had us, talk about what the challenges are in terms of competition, so we can also understand what tomorrow is likely to be like. Let me also say that the second challenge that I have relating to this account, again, is what I have found on page 27 to 33, as well as page 6. I prefer a situation where there's some level of stability to the existence of the board. But I want to say that one thing that is a challenge for me, for Mansard, is the frequency of change on the board. I don't know what you're going to do, but we need to talk to the big boys. If you own this size of shares, it's important that you allow some level of stability. Don't bring the man here tomorrow. Even some instances, you bring him in the morning, before lunch, you've taken him out. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. So let us see what we can do around the stability when it comes to corporate governance and appointment of directors. The third major area that I'll also be speaking to is what you have on page 35, which is also reflected on page 58, which is also reflected on page 163. The share option. All I'll be saying around that is that there is need for better disclosure. Because even from the countries that we've borrowed this from, there's a lot of abuse going on. Okay? And those abuse are better checked if the disclosure around those are better. But much more importantly, is that it also gives us a better assessment as to how we are rewarding hard work. But the way it is now, for me, it's not the best. And I think we can do more. And the reason I'm saying all of that, if you then take page 187 and 189, and then you lap those two pages with page 46 and page 58, what you will find is that our top line has a consistent growth pattern. Consistent. We didn't have jack. In weightlifting, there's what they call jack and lift. Is it? I'm not sure. But click and you see, which means that is your best sports. MD. Okay. What we are beginning to show in our bottom line is clean and jack. Okay. We lift it up and it comes down. No. It's important that don't forget what I said earlier. The tomorrow of a company that I have invested in is far more important than what you have done today. That is not to say today is not important. For me, investment is long term. And if it's long term, I must see to the consistency in return long term. Having said all of that, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the external assessor. By the way, I'm not sure who the love letter was for, because the closing line of that report for me was a love letter. But haven't written it, I'm sure they will have told who exactly should take that love letter portion of it. But I'll be interested as to what we are likely to do or what we have started to do in relating to the issues that they have raised. Because one of the things that some of us have also found, with due respect, and that's when I heard my friend. Incidentally, today is Ede's wedding anniversary. That's why it's in the suits I seen in. So we can ask him to arrange some lunch on his account after now. Very many of our companies listed, I didn't say a few, very many of our listed companies don't have regards for identified challenges in their accounts. And that also includes the insurance companies. So it would be good that you begin to say, oh, this is the issues that were raised, and then this is what you are doing. This is what you are doing in addressing them. Okay, that is, again, help us to bridge the trust gap, because that is a major, major challenge for a number of quoted companies. You've seen people who tell you, oh, we are chairman, and they do all sorts of things. 6 years, 7 years after, everything comes to the open. But the more we try and build this, I think the better for us. So in that regard, I'll also be asking, looking at page 63, 108, and 140, cash flow. I want us to relate our cash flow to our capital management, and then what we are doing going forward in terms of assets acquisition. Again, without abuse, because I've also seen one of the insurance company acquire assets at prices that outside common sense, and today they're also in trouble. The second area I also want you to talk to, talking about what the assessors have said vis-a-vis what I find in these accounts, has to do with the new products, especially as it relates to our subsidiaries. Because interestingly, if you look at page 123 and 124, you begin to understand what I'm talking about. Their level of performance has remained constant in terms of growth. So what are we doing to further strengthen the second leg of our business so that more money can also come in? And then the third one that I'm also hoping that you'll be talking around or probably look into going forward. With a depressed economy, there are a number of undervalued properties all over the place. I'm not saying you should then acquire all of them, but can we also look at opportunities as to taking advantage of high value derivable property across at least two major towns, Lagos and Abuja, again, for our long-term growth. But Mr. Chairman, having said that, I will want you to also give some clarity as to what we have done with the 9.75 million loan. Has it been paid fully now? Because the record that you have here says end of February, and this account was prepared before February. So what is the status in that regard? But going forward, Mr. Chairman, on page 154, I will be hoping that our litigation will not just be in number, it will also be in terms of likely cost. Okay, how much will those litigations be in Naira and Kobo? And I'll also be hoping that, yes, I know that blue is your favorite color as a company, but it's very strenuous reading blue, especially when it's also light type in an annual account. A number of times I had to use magnifying lens, and I don't think that is what's. By the way, the two of you who are directors, who are representing other directors, I've started probably using glasses long before now. But don't let us bring additional persons if you are not going to pay for their optical services. Don't let us bring them into the club. Let them make their voluntary decision that they want to wear glasses. Okay? And I'll also be hoping that going forward, which is one thing that Ede also talked about, donation without policy is also a challenge. And from what I've seen with our company, there is no policy. So let's go back and develop a policy. And in the process, the pressure that also comes on the company becomes less. Because if we had a policy, even if we were to give money in 2020, maybe the amount that we give will not have been to that tune. And so we can have a smooth outflow of cash when it comes to our CSR. So I will be hoping that going forward, there will be policy around that. Let me also say that for the item 8 that you have on this annual account, again, going forward, is an expense item, which means that once we give you approval, you will be disbursing money every year as director's fee. So it is not sufficient for you to say until when you want to change it. No. Please, let's look at our MEMAT. Because it's an expenditure item, you must get approval every year from shareholders. Don't do this, because some persons may also take offense, and then you'll be in court for things that are not that significant. So I'll be appealing that going forward, just put it director's fee. If it's not increasing, I'm not sure anybody is going to question you. But if it's going to be increased, and then you probably, oh, we're increasing largely because the inflation in one country has reached Nigeria, and then we also understand it. And on the final note, Mr. Chairman, our quorum, as far as the MEMAT, also needs a review. If our quorum says 5 shareholders who hold 50%, those 2 major shareholders can hold a meeting without these small unit holders. And I don't think that is what the intention is. So please, let's go back, Company Secretary, with your legal team. I think there's a need for a review. This is probably what we started with several years back. But the reality of today means that it's also out of tune. So let's see what we can do. And I also think that for the future, to have an AGM 4 months after the auditor's report is ready. Interestingly, this report was ready as far back as end of March. If we were paid in June, some of us will have bought bigger ramps. Okay? But much more importantly, we will have also saved on the level of inflation. If I needed to buy fuel and stock, I probably will have bought it at a cheaper price than what it is now. So let's see the possibility of having our AGM earlier, so we can also use our money the way we want. But Mr. Chairman, I will not be fair to this meeting if I don't talk around the issue that Ede talked about. And very many times as shareholders, we think that we can behave like the typical Nigerian who will leave his house, the door open, the window open, the roof open, and there's an attack of armed robbers. And he said, I've called police. That is what a number of us retail shareholders do. And I'll be pleading he hasn't raised it. Because even if you merge all the insurance company into one, and they want to behave typical of how Nigerian companies are run, we are going to have no insurance company at the end of the day. But if we begin to take management and boards as to what their responsibilities are and making sure that they do them right, all of us will be better for it. By the way, I'm sure if you ask Ede to take between having to have invested 10 years ago or 20 years ago in Nestle as against investing in some of the insurance companies that he had invested in for that same period, he probably would have had a rethink. So that rethink that we all need to have as retail shareholders, let us take interest in the company, let us drop emotions, let us face facts, and make sure that our directors and management are doing the right thing, not only for their own benefit, for the benefit of the shareholders and for the benefit of the country. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. I'll just quickly, Mr. Awo, I'll just quickly respond before handing over to the CEO, by the way. I'll just quickly make a comment on one of your points. Your company diligently ensures that its accounts are filed on time and at least on a couple of occasions, because I used to be on the board of CSCS. Your company actually beats then NSC to filing its financials before even NSC itself could file with itself. So this year, I would make an apology because I personally, I was unavoidably absent in the last couple of months from the country. And the management graciously, and I dare say, hopefully with your approval now, that the AGM be slightly postponed till I was available to attend in person. So I should apologize and claim responsibility for that. It's not in our nature to do that. But I would also like to say that in terms of corporate governance, I have been fortunate to serve on a few on the board of listed companies. And I also serve on the board of some privately owned companies that are relatively large. I don't even think that the corporate governance of the original parent company of your company, namely GT Assurance, at the time, has a stronger corporate governance regime than your company. This, as far as I can tell, is, if not the best, the most diligent company in terms of corporate governance. And the record is there with NSC. When they introduced a related award on that subject, we were the first to volunteer. Our conduct actually helped them define it before SEC then took over such role. So you should be proud, and we really should have the confidence in our very, very capable management of adhering to a very, very strong and excellent corporate governance regime. Thank you.
Good morning once again, distinguished shareholders. I would like to thank all shareholders here present and the shareholders that have joined us online for the interest they've shown in our company, in their company. I also want to thank everyone that have asked us questions, and I'll try to answer all of those questions in the order that those questions have been asked. I'll start with the questions asked by Iche Godwin Emekaide. Iche, I think Sir Nana said it's your wedding anniversary today. So happy wedding anniversary, sir. Ichie Ede commended us on the dividend that we've paid, 25 kobo per share. And like Sir Nana said in his own set of questions, we are happy that we're able to declare 25 kobo, but our goal is not to declare 25 kobo per share. We believe that we can always improve on this as we move along. I'm going to share, as I answer those questions, some of the things we are doing to ensure that your company is able to pay dividend and able to improve on the dividend payout year on year. Ichi also asked a question around, also commended us on claims payments, the fact that we've paid 29 billion naira claim in 2021. We are also very happy to be able to meet all our obligations. However, we are even going a step further as a company. We want to transit from just being a payer to partners of our customers and stakeholders. We are going to meet all our obligations, but we're also going to partner with all our customers, some of them to even ensure that those claims do not even happen, through risk improvement advisory services. He also talked about underwriting profits being very good for the year. This is the result of all the efforts that we have put in our underwriting considerations, in claims, in expenses, to ensure that we deliver on underwriting profit. However, the chair is not happy with the dip in investment income. And I'd like to just say that this is due to market forces. In 2021, the market experienced a significant dip, for example, in bonds, corporate bonds and government bonds. And this actually led to a fair value loss for AXA Mansard. So that is one of the reasons that is responsible for the dip in our investment income. It is the market forces. And let me also say that the investment arm of our company is also growing in bounds, despite the fact that there are headwinds in the market. They have grown their third party assets, and that is a testament to the trust and confidence that the investing public do have in our company. The chair talked about donations for the year. And we have noted your suggestions about doing a bit more of social donations. We're also passionate about the environment. We are doing a couple of things around that, which you will see in your annual report for next year. Ichio talked about partnership with service provider. Let me also say that NICOM has actually is also looking into allowing us to partner with those service providers. We are also discussing with NCC, which seems to be the bigger party, to actually have peace in this arrangement. I'll now move on to the questions asked by Mr. Adeleke Oladimeji. We have noted everything you said about membership of the audit committee, but let me be clear that we will, the composition of that committee will be in alignment with CAMA, with all the laws governing membership of that committee. But we have noted your suggestions. We've noted your suggestions around the need for us to do a breakdown of marketing expenses and indeed all other expenses that we have in our annual report. The use of social media, also you want us to do a bit more on that. I can assure you that we have an Instagram handle, we have a Twitter handle, we are active on the social media. Of course, we intend to do more and we will certainly do more. You want to see a profile of all directors in the annual report. We will take this suggestion on board and we'll for subsequent productions, and we'll see if we can squeeze the profile of all our directors in the annual report. Some of those directors' profile will take 2-3 pages. Certainly, the chairman's profile will take 2-3 pages. Mr. Deleke wants to know whether we are delisting AXA Mansard PLC since we have 2 major shareholders. I want to state clearly that we are not delisting the company. There are several advantages being a listed company, even for the business. So we are not delisting the company. He talked about the fact that we are employing, which is good, and certainly we are employing. And to even answer some of Sanona's question, some of the things we are doing to ensure that we are an ongoing business is the fact that we are actively developing our agency network. You'll recall that several years back, we started this process. Today, we are still employing agents. We believe in digitalization of our operations, but we still believe that Nigerians want to sit across the table and speak to an individual. So we are ramping up the figures in terms of the agency network. Our intention is to have 5,000 agents by the end of next year. This year, I think we have 2,700, if I'm right. By the next year, we'll have 3,500. So we're employing. We are actually adding value to the society in terms of taking people off the unemployment market. You talk about unclaimed dividend, and I have it on good authority that only 5% is unpaid. By the end of this AGM today, if you approve the payment of dividend, I have it on good authority that 95% of people, of shareholders, will receive their dividend today. So unclaimed dividend is not up to 60% like you thought. Now, let me move to the questions asked by Sir Nona Awo. A full page, actually, from my jottings. So I'm going to try and answer all the questions. The first question Sanona asked is around why we have dividend as number 3 instead of number 2 on the list. This is an error, if I may put it that way. We didn't put it at number 3 for any particular reason. I think Secretariat has noted this, and we're sure that we'll put it at the right place going forward. Sanona commended us for sharing the financials on time. I can assure you that we are committed to sharing this financial on time, even next year, even the year after. Now, Sanona asked a loaded question around wanting to continually invest in a company for tomorrow. And I can assure you that our company is a company that doesn't think about today alone, but thinks more about tomorrow. It even reflects in the financial that you have with you. We are doing a lot of investments today to ensure that we will remain an ongoing concern for tomorrow. For example, COVID has, accelerated the need for us to go digital. We have invested a lot on digital, on acquisition of laptop. We want all our staff to be empowered to be able to work from anywhere in Nigeria, sometimes anywhere in the world they might be. And that requires a lot of investment, and that's what we have done. If you look at the fact that we dipped in terms of PBT, it is due to 3 reasons, maybe 4. Increase in operating expenses, increase in employee benefit, and the fair value laws that I explained before. But the 4th one is the fact that we had a one-off gain on a disposal of assets last year, which didn't occur this year. And that is what is responsible for the dip in PBT. I just want to give side example of the investment in resources as part of the reason why we have that dip, and to show you that we are preparing for the future. Our retail workforce is one area that we want to consolidate investing. And the fact that we are also developing our health business. Our health business continues to be the dominant health HMO in the market. We are number one, we remain number one. In all the businesses that we have, we are in the first three, perhaps apart from our life business, and that we are addressing as we speak. 2-3 years ago, perhaps we had number 9 in the health business. This, I think, in recent times we are at number 6. And that is to show the progress we've made from where we are before up to today. And it's also a testament to the fact that we are looking at tomorrow and not today. There are a couple of things we are introducing to the market. For example, we believe that the macro clearly shows you how the insuring public will be able to pay for insurance. We are trying to vary that to accept quarterly payment of premium. We are coming up with new products that the insuring public would like to see, not products that insurance companies have put together and are ramming down the throat of our customers and intending customers. So these are some of the things we are trying to do to ensure that we remain an ongoing concern, that we crack the market, that we ensure that we are innovative and meet the market at the point they need. For example, we're also developing micro insurance plan, micro health plans. We're looking at a lot of other partnerships to be sure that we're able to penetrate the market. All this is geared towards ensure that in the future we remain an ongoing concern and a company that is able to deliver profit and dividend to our shareholders. You talk about stability of the board and frequency of change. This we have noted. And I want to, at this point, thank everyone that have served on the board of AXA Mansard. Their experience, the value they brought on board has been invaluable and has been responsible for where we are today. But sometimes these directors' plans change and they need to leave. It's not about someone removing anybody. It's about individual directors taking a decision that they want to do another thing, in their own career journey, and perhaps being on the board of AXA Mansard doesn't fit into that plan. That's why we see those changes. But your point has been noted, and it's a very valid point. You talk about the need for more disclosures. We will ensure that we do a lot more disclosures. You talked about implementing the external assessors recommendation. We are going to implement the recommendation by the external assessors. You talk about real estate opportunities and the need for us to take advantage of the state of the market at this point. And thank you for this advice, and we'll look at it internally. But today we are overexposed to the real estate market with the properties that we have. We are actually trying to divest a bit from the real estate market. But I can assure you that if there are other opportunities in that market, we will take it as far as it fits into our risk capital limits. You talk about the loan status. The loan has been restructured, and I think we have a 3-year window to actually fully pay down on that loan. We noted your advice on litigation and likely costs. We will ensure that we incorporate that in our subsequent publications. Thank you for the advice on donation, i.e. we need to come up with a policy on donation. We will ensure that we do that going forward. I think these are the major questions Sanona will ask. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for the questions. I would like to thank you for the interest in the company. I want to plead that you don't limit your questions, your suggestions to just once in a year at the AGM. Please feel free to share your thoughts, your recommendations, your suggestions with us all through the year. Those suggestions, those advices are invaluable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kunle. So we move on the next items. Thank you very much. Thank you. I see you have been generous today. I'll mention it to your wife. Yeah, I know. The instructions on the video. I now call on the registrars to play a brief video presentation to explain the voting process through the use of electronic voting pad.
This video is on how to use the electronic voting pad device. Voting pad usage instructions. Please note that the device is only required during the voting session of this meeting. How to use the voting device. Press the Sign In button to activate the voting device. When the status indicator flashes red, the device is ready for use. Press the Yes button to vote in favor of a resolution, or press the No button to vote against a resolution. Only press the ABS button if you do not wish to vote on a resolution. Please press only one of the buttons to cast your vote. You have only 1 minute to vote for each resolution. However, if you press the Yes or No button more than once, the last button pressed before the end of the voting period will be registered as your vote. Please return the e-voting devices to the ushers after the voting session has been concluded. An alarm will be triggered at the exit points if you still have the voting device with you when you leave the meeting hall. Kindly check your pocket and bag to ensure that the device is returned.
Very well. We know the drill anyway. So we go on to ordinary resolutions. We present resolutions being proposed for approvals at this meeting. To facilitate a smooth conduct of the business of the day, I will move each motion and invite seconders for each motion from the floor. The seconders are kindly requested to state their names to enable the secretary take proper note of the names. Furthermore, members are kindly requested to follow the voting procedure as shown in the video presentation. To receive the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, and the reports of the directors, the auditor, and audit committee thereon. I hereby move that the audited financial statements for the financial year ended December 31, 2021, and the reports of the directors, the auditors, and audit committee thereon laid before the meeting be and are hereby received. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Mr. Seni. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your voting pads. Starts now.
Start voting, please. Voting process is over. Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. We go on to the next one, to elect a director. Since the last AGM, Mrs. Abiola Pada, Mr. Thomas Hood, and Ms. Latifat Said were appointed as directors of the company. Their detailed profiles can be found in the annual report, and their appointment have been approved by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, and will be put before the meeting for approval. We'll try and get approval by single resolution. I hereby present to you Ms. Abiola Bada for election as an independent non-executive director of the company. May I call for a seconder? Yes, please. Adedayo Oludare, thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your electronic voting pads. Starts now.
Voting process is over. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished shareholders, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. I present to you Mr. Thomas Hurd for election as a non-executive director of the company. May I call for a seconder, please? Sir Awo. Thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your electronic voting pads. Starts now.
Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, the outcome indicated that 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. I present to you Ms. Latifa Said for election as a non-executive director of the company. A seconder, please. Thank you, Mr. Ladimeji. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your electronic voting pads, which starts now.
Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Go on to the next item to declare a dividend. I hereby move that dividend in respect of the financial year ended December 31st, 2021, in the sum of 2,250,000,000 naira only, be paid as final dividend to shareholders at the rate of 25 kobo per 2 naira kobo ordinary share, subject to the deduction of withholding tax and upon its approval at this meeting to shareholders whose names are registered in the company's register of members at the close of business on Thursday, 28th of April, 2022. May I call for a seconder, please? Mr. Kafar, thank you. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your voting pads, which starts now.
Mr. Chairman, sir, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. To authorize and to fix Remuneration for auditors. Section 408B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that the auditor's remuneration shall be fixed by the company in a general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. Consequently, I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration and expenses of the auditors, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, in respect of the year ending 31 December 2022 on the recommendation of the Audit Committee. May I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Mr. Eze. Those in favor of the motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your voting pads, which starts now.
Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Next item is to disclose remuneration of managers. Section 238 and 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that every company at a general meeting shall disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. I hereby draw the attention of shareholders to page 166 of the annual report, which contains a detailed report of the remuneration of managers of the company, and suggest that they be taken as read. Duly noted. So next item will be to elect members of the Audit Committee. We will now take the final resolution, which is to elect members of the Audit Committee. Section 4046 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that nominations to the Audit Committee shall be in writing and shall be delivered to the Secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. The Act requires that membership of the Audit Committee should consist of 5 members, of 2 non-executive directors, and 3 members of the shareholders of the company. 4 nominations were received by the Secretary for election into the committee. The valid nominees are as follows: Abubakar Sadiq Bello, nominee Olanike Olaniyo, Olanike Olaniyo. Second person, David Abimbola Solomon. The nominator, David Matthew Oluwadamilola. Number 3, Bakari Adebisi. The nominator was Olaniyi Solomon Abijo. And number 4, Oluwasegun Jesse Adiusi, representative of WSTC Financial Services. The nominator, Efe Michael Denido. In view of the fact that the maximum representatives of shareholders on the Audit Committee is 3, an election will be conducted. To facilitate smooth proceedings of this meeting, voting will be by the show of hands. The 3 nominees with the highest number of votes will represent shareholders on the Audit Committee. The votes will be counted by the auditors, assisted by the registrar and the ushers, and the result of the election submitted for announcement. Will nominees for election to the Audit Committee stand up for recognition when their names are announced? All those in favor of the election of Abubakar Sadiq Bello to the Audit Committee should please raise their hands. Yes, I just said they should actually stand up for recognition. Is absent, yeah.
And Kenichi is not, so they're two of them are absent.
Who's the other one?
And David.
Okay. Well, I do agree with you, sir. But my understanding is that Messrs. Abubakar Sadiq Bello and David Abimbola Solomon are unavoidably absent. It's up to shareholders how that affects outcome. But Mrs. Bakar is here, and I believe it must be Mr. Adeusi. Thank you. We'll still go through the voting process, right? Yeah. So I started with all those in favor of the election of Abubakar Sadiq Bello to the audit committee should please raise up their hands. Are you done? Are you done?
The meetings like process. Is it going to be among the 10 people who are here? Or everybody in the order can be done with them? So, because that's what auditor is trying to ask.
Okay. All those in favor of election of David Abimbola Solomon to the audit committee should please raise up their hands. Okay. That was quick. All those in favor of the election of Bakari Adebisi to the audit committee should please raise up their hands. Àwọn lókàn. Yeah. All those in favor of the election of Oluwasegun Jesse Adeusi, representative of WSTC Financial Services to the audit committee, please raise up your hands. Okay. Would you please submit the results for announcement? Thank you very much. I'm glad we don't have to do a recount. The auditors have confirmed that all votes have been counted I now announce the results of the election. Mr. Adeosi, WSTC Financial Services Limited, 24 votes. Mrs. Bakari Adebisi, 24 votes. David Abimbola Solomon, 0. Abubakar Sadiq Bello, 20. So I declare the three nominees with the highest votes as having been elected to represent shareholders on the audit committee, and they are again Mr. Oluwasegun Jesse Adeosi, Mrs. Bakari Adebisi, and Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Bello. Congratulations to all of them. And I wish them a successful, productive, and rewarding tenure. We go on to the next item, special business. Remuneration of directors. Section 2931 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that the remuneration of directors is determined by the company in general meeting, and such remuneration is deemed to accrue from day to day. I hereby move that directors' remuneration for the financial year ending December 31st, 2022, and for succeeding years until reviewed by the company, I'm saying that with trepidation, in its annual general meeting, which is annual anyway, be and is hereby fixed at 750,000 naira only for chairman and 500,000 naira only for non-executive directors each financial year. May I have a seconder, please? I'm sorry? Observation, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say that for me, I don't have a problem you seconding it or moving it. But unfortunately for you, you also read that you are a beneficiary of this. So I'll ask you to step aside and ask somebody else to take that component. The second observation, which is following from the motion before this, is that we didn't constitute the audit committee. We only elected the shareholder representative. You haven't told us who the directors' representatives are. So I'll be hoping that you constitute that committee, except you want the committee to be constituted at the first meeting of the audit committee, but it's better constituted at this level because this is the General Assembly. But I also want to add on the lighter note that please appeal to the new directors that we have accepted to serve us as directors. They should not come and leave us after taking breakfast. They should wait, at least take lunch with us, which means that any of them that is coming should try as much as possible to be with us for a minimum of 4 years. And I hope they are hearing us. But I'm not sure how we are going to handle the role that you give the auditors because they've performed non-audit item by conducting and verifying that the election is correct. Let them not bring a bill because thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Your observation is duly noted. I do agree. And so I will temporarily step aside and have Mr. Kunle Ahmed propose the motion, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 293, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that the remuneration of directors is determined by the company in general meeting, and such remuneration is deemed to accrue from day to day. Consequently, I move that the director's remuneration for the financial year ending December 31st, 2022 until reviewed by the company in its annual general meeting B and is hereby fixed at 750,000 naira for the chairman and 500,000 naira for non-executive directors each financial year. May I ask for a seconder, please? Yes, sir. Those in favor of this motion and those against the motion should please signify by voting accordingly on your voting pads, please.
Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, 100% voted in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Thank you, everyone. I'll now pass on the mic to the chairman.
Thank you very much, Mule. Good practice run. In constituting the audit committee, two additional members will be Ms. Abiola Pata and Mr. Thomas Hughes. On behalf of the House, we constitute that committee with Ms. Abiola Bada as chairperson. Thank you.
It's okay. They will do the election themselves.
I guess they will, yes. So we go on to special business. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, hold on. Those in favor of the motion. Yeah. Okay. Finally, I'd like to make a couple of personal announcements. I have come to see the shareholders of this company as a family. And as your chairman, by your grace, I've enjoyed the last 9 years of my tenure here. But before I speak further about myself, I'd first of all like the House to congratulate Mr. Eze on his wedding anniversary. And as my people will say, may Madame grind you to old age. I'd also like the House to acknowledge and congratulate Mr. Akingbola Akinola, because I think since the last AGM, he's been decorated with the highly coveted title of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please join me in congratulating.
Lunch.
And finally, I must say, with a bit of withdrawal symptom and a bit of joy and appreciation to this House, that before declaring this meeting, I would like to notify highly distinguished shareholders that I will be retiring from the board at the end of this meeting. In the last 6 years, I've had the opportunity and privilege to chair this board, and I have seen the tremendous growth that has been recorded by the company. This would have been impossible if we did not enjoy the support of our shareholders, the total commitment of the board, and dedication of our staff. From 2014, when the erstwhile Mansard Insurance PLC began its journey of integration into the AXA family, As chairman, I have contributed to the strategic direction of the board and the growth of the company, leading the company from a turnover of 16.9 billion in 2016 to 60.19 billion in 2021. During my tenure, the health entity, AXA Mansard Health, which I am really truly proud, has become the largest HMO provider in Nigeria, and the group maintained a steady growth in market share. A new chairman will be announced shortly, and I urge you all to give your continued support and trust to the board and staff of your esteemed company. I wish to sincerely thank all you distinguished shareholders for the support and maximum cooperation I received during my tenure. My prayer is that our company continues to grow and deliver quality service to our customers and good returns to all shareholders. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please be seated. I want to say that we had to quickly have an internet meeting, and I pleaded with the shareholders who are here, other than the high-tabled shareholder, that they should allow me on behalf of other shareholders, those of us who are here and those of us who are not here, thank you for your service. And I can say with all due respect that you are one of the very few chairmen, and I said with all due respect, who understands the relationship between shareholders and a company. And so we want to thank you for the 9 years that we are privileged to have kidnapped you, and make sure that we use you the way we wanted for the growth of the company. After this meeting, we will safely return you to your wife and ask her to keep you. But that will not stop us. I'm talking about shareholders now. If we find another opportunity to re-kidnap you, certainly we'll do. But we also must say that respect begets respect. If your new chairman comes in and he plays the game to the level in which you have played it, I'm sure that the shareholders will also give him the same cooperation that you have enjoyed. If the shoe that you are also leaving behind is one that is too big, and he does cooperate with us and plays the game, like I said, we will find some materials to put in the front of the shoe so that the shoe will be exactly his size, notwithstanding some inconveniences. So on behalf of the other shareholders, we want to say big thank you to you, and may the good Lord continue to guide your life and guide your path, and hoping that we'll be able to take you down to another company in new course. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, other shareholders, for allowing me to speak on your behalf.
Mr. Chairman, we really appreciate all your effort for at least bringing our company up to this standard. And we pray that your shadow will never dim less in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. So we have a song for you. For he is a jolly good fellow. For he is a jolly good fellow. For he is a jolly good fellow. No! And so say all of us. And so say all of us who did. And so say all of us who did. For he is a jolly good fellow. No, for he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. No, and so they are love us. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Second bossas for our chairman. Bossa, 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 bossa.
This is truly, truly humbling. Thank you. Please. Thank you very much, Mr. Eze and Mr. Awa. I am truly, truly humbled. I've been proud to serve as your chairman, and it is an experience that will take a huge chapter if I ever get to write a memoir of my life. Thank you all very much. So, finally, this concludes the business of this meeting. I thank you for attending this meeting, which I now declare closed. National anthem, please.
That calculator. So take your.
Take your time, so don't forget. I'll take you.
I struck out fast as I knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good. Now you come. I heard you call me up. All the fairies and claws that I break, you call me anyway. So how could I come this far without? How could I this far knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good. I would. This now you called. I heard you call me up. Like it was all the fairies and claws that I break, you call me anyway. Bye-bye. So how could I go? I check you up on the don't let the lies of this world take me. I struck out fast as I could, knowing if I just keep my eyes on you, I'd be good. I would. I'd be good. I would. Now you called. I heard you call me up. All the fairies laws that I break. You call me anyway. You call us. So how could I go this far without you? How could I go on this far without my love? How could I go this far without you? Letting it go like it was a dream. Do